Blizzard is finally doing what WoW players begged for. That's right, add-on customizations are gone, and the war on add-ons, I should say, continues, and customizations are getting ramped up. Let's see what this video is all about here and how Blizzard is actually trying to make this game a little bit better. Here we go.
We sure do have a WoW episode today. It's been almost a year since Blizzard declared war on add-ons. We had a full year of drama and community infighting / discussion before Midnight launched. And when it finally arrived, many things were great. Many things were a bit broken. Of course, much that was broken was because Blizzard had to rush to replace all the things we needed and loved, like our cooldown manager, DPS meters, and boss alerts.
Look, I will say, and anyone who's been watching my stream for a while now knows that I was a big proponent of getting rid of add-ons. I was never a big add-ons fan. I felt like they did kind of ruin the game. I felt like they led to a lot of extra mechanics and things because Blizzard was just in an arms race against add-ons, especially weak auras. Now, the launch of their own internal shit, was it perfect? No, it wasn't. But it actually went better than I thought it did. I've been playing Midnight add-on free. It's like being a druggie off a drug. No add-ons whatsoever. Not a single one. And it's been working. Is it as pretty as it was with add-ons? No. Is Blizzard kind of iterating on it as they go every single week? They are. Are things getting better? Yes, they are. But overall, the game is playable. Out of the box. Imagine that. You can just install WoW and play it. It really is playable right now. And I think everything has gone pretty well, considering I really thought it was going to be more of a shit show than it has been.
Every class in the game was pruned and largely simplified for this new add-onless world.
Yeah, right.
So if all that happened, then why does the race to world first look like this? The war on add-ons is over, and a lot of people are actually now saying that, well, the add-ons won. That's not the only thing we have today. There's a giant stack of bugs, some of them are quite funny, a growing problem in housing, and an interview with Holly about World of Warcraft's future. So welcome back to the news. Let's get stuck in.
All right, let's get an update on the
First,
war on
I've
add-ons.
got to say the race to world first was absolutely incredible. The secret phase reveal will go down in history, and that it happened on Easter Sunday.
Yeah, this was hilarious.
But if you were watching the Lura fight, you probably saw a lot of things you really shouldn't have. Like this memory game helper. You see, Lura shows marks in a certain order, and players have got to stand in the right order. Now the thing is, on Mythic difficulty, she splits players up, and she shows them only parts of the pattern, meaning that the different segments of players are supposed to communicate with each other to get the full answer. That's really hard to do in the time constraints. So, both Echo and Liquid made custom add-ons to display the pattern on everyone's screen.
Correct. Now, Blizzard did fix this. They fixed this thing mid-run, so this add-on stopped working for them. They basically disabled the ability for this to be tracked. So, yeah, they did make it, but it didn't last very long.
In the design intent, it looks like some serious cheating, but it's actually a simple display. Players type what they see, and the add-on picks that up to draw the image. So it's not an auto-solver or anything like that, and because of that, Blizzard gave them the thumbs up for it.
Oh, this wasn't the one. Can get it. Okay, so by the way, that's not really them helping. They're still putting an input themselves. Keyword communicate to each other. Yeah, basically. That's what they're still doing. They're just typing it instead of saying it.
Now, I won't say it makes the fight a whole lot easier, but it is.
There was another one that I think it was that Echo made, or Liquid, and they disabled it. Mid-fight, they did a reset, and they made the add-on, basically. They killed the add-on.
An add-on that solves the memory part of a memory game. So for counting score, I'm going to say Blizzard 0, add-ons 1. Just that's only one of the losses, and probably the least important. Look at almost any Raiders UI in the race, and you'll see something that Blizzard explicitly said they wanted gone. And that is these text prompts. Back in November, Blizzard dropped a huge post on the UI development Discord, and one of the points was on simplifying names. Their stance is that learning spell names is part of the gameplay, not renaming them. Now, an important role in this fight is to hold these light crystals. So the player responsible has a massive bar in their screen telling them to check the crystal. And it goes away once the crystal is picked up. And that means it is now Blizzard 0, add-ons 2. And it's not just a race thing either. On Lura, the memory game is called Death's Dirge, but on most UIs, it's just called Marks. Not really flavorful. Echo and Liquid both have on-screen text timers with instructions, rather than spell names. And the thing is, you can do that too, because now it's a feature of bigwigs. So, let's update the tally. That's Blizzard 0.
They're losing.
Addons 3.
Oh,
and
no.
It keeps going. Recently, Mini-CC got an update allowing it to track allies' cooldowns. Now, it's not perfect. It actually uses a chain of loopholes and different conditions to figure out when a spell was used, but the end result is the same thing. Most friendly cooldowns are visible only if you use an add-on. That means the add-on gives you an advantage. One of the coolest parts of software engineering is working around constraints and coming up with crazy ways to make something work.
Jesus, WoW players are so degenerate. They're finding ways. Now, I was going to say, every single reset, we have seen some of these add-ons get eventually the loopholes closed. So I don't know, people get into this. I wouldn't get too used to any of these, personally. I just feel like just learn how to play the game as it is intended, and getting all these add-ons and shit. The thing is, you might be disappointed to log in the next week and all of a sudden this isn't working anymore. So I just wouldn't get used to it at all.
The developer absolutely did that, and I do think that that is, like, pretty awesome. So, you know, thumbs up to the dev. But let's keep going, because then there's X-Win tools and Blizzy interrupts, which both function as interrupt trackers. And that means it is now Blizzard 0, Addons 4. And we should talk about this, because it means add-ons still provide a ton of competitive advantage. But the only difference now is that accessing that competitive advantage is a hell of a lot more complicated than it used to be, because of all the changes Blizzard made to, essentially, the things add-ons can access. So it essentially seems that Blizzard have effectively, well, completely and utterly lost the war on add-ons. It seems they've wasted tons of effort and tons of time, and they've ended up in a situation where many of the same competitive advantages can be gained by players.
They wasted tons of time because whatever a small percentage of the player base is using some workarounds. I don't know about that. I think the majority of people are still playing the game without going into and developing workarounds for all these things. Some of these are downloadable, yeah, but I still feel like the majority of people are not using add-ons the way as before, where it was like, oh, if you're joining us for this boss fight today, please download this weak aura, and then everybody essentially had to have it to be able to do the fight correctly. I think those days are gone, so I wouldn't say that it was a complete and utter waste of time. Are players going to be degens and find workarounds? Yeah, they always do. Of course. If somebody had to ask me, like, hey, Sam, what do you think about this race before it even started? Is anyone going to find some kind of workaround for some random add-on? I would have said, yeah, for sure. It's impossible for them to close every single loophole. But right now, it's no longer a mainstream thing, and I think that was the intent behind all of this.
Just that it's way more fiddly and complicated to access that competitive advantage. And that does seem like the opposite of their intent. But what if Blizzard thinks that's enough? Enough to say, put Ian on an aircraft carrier with a banner behind him saying, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
You see, in our guild, very few of us use any combat add-ons. Not intentionally either, it just sort of happened. Most of them broke at launch.
And alright, using an add-on that makes your UI look like Hello Kitty Island Adventure does not count as an add-on. The majority of people who are using add-ons right now are just using aesthetical ones, which are not banned. Anything that changes kind of how your UI looks for aesthetic purposes is not a banned add-on. But no, the majority of people are going into these dungeons and raids without having any sort of combat-related add-ons. These combat-related add-ons are not easy to get right now. They're not like how they were, and they're breaking all the time. Every single time a Tuesday reset comes around, a lot of these things break, so it's not as easy as it was before.
And so far, most of us haven't really felt the need to install them. Now, Blizzard's boss timers are not perfect, but they do the job by and large. The cooldown manager does need a lot of work, but it's enough to get by with. You see, now we've actually seen the raids, and it is obvious that the bit where Blizzard have done the work is with the actual boss design. And that's where I do have to hand it to Blizzard's developers.
It's good.
As an example, whenever someone is targeted, everyone can see it clearly, like with, say, Illyria's arrows or the dragon's dread breath. There are no complicated things to organize, and the mechanics resolve slowly enough that we haven't struggled. And it's the same in dungeons. The important casts are now marked by the game, and they're slow enough that you can see them and react to them, and you don't feel like you have to sift through 5 trillion cast bars all at the same time. It's not an accident that Mythic Plus 10s are substantially easier than ever before. Blizzard have simplified and slowed down the game very intentionally. That's all to make World of Warcraft more approachable.
Yep.
But there is another angle to it.
That's why we just looked at the Mythic Plus seasonal stats, and they're just so much higher. We're seeing completion rates that are like 36% higher than the last season of the War Within, 40 something percent higher than the first season of the War. It's crazy. So yeah, we're seeing much better numbers in terms of completion rates. The game's just easier, and it's easier because Blizzard doesn't have to worry about competing with add-ons.
And that is defeating add-ons in a bit of a different way. You see, add-ons still offer a competitive advantage, and that's something Blizzard does not want. But outside of the very top end, that advantage doesn't really feel necessary. And if it doesn't feel necessary, well, and jumping through all the hoops to get it going doesn't really matter anymore. If you can play the game and succeed in your goals without add-ons, then why bother going out of your way to download a big complicated setup? So my gut tells me that this war isn't quite as one-sided as our little score counter earlier would suggest. But when we'll really find out is if Blizzard starts shipping more restrictions in patch 12.0.5, or if they're actually happy with where we've landed.
No, they've shut down anything that they're not happy with. I can't remember what Team Liquid did, but there was an add-on that they created during the Race to World First and got hot-fixed out. It was solving something to a point where Blizzard, I guess, just didn't like it, but they hot-fixed that shit. So anything that they really hate, because they're seeing what's happening, anything they really hate, they're just hot-fixing it out. The one that allows you to type the symbol into the chat, that's a form of communication. And they're doing the mechanics still. They're just doing it via chat rather than saying it out loud. So the whole thing is not, it's not really like what a weak aura would have done. If you played during peak weak auras, what would have happened was that weak aura literally just tells you whatever your assigned symbol is, and you just go do that thing. You didn't have to do a single thing. Literally, the weak auras would tell you how to do the fight. So it's still not on that level.
Here, let me know what your guild's experience has been. But with that said, gotta talk about that update.
It was automatically tracking symbols? Okay, so that's what it was. Instead of having them track it by typing it, it was automatically doing it.
12.15 will be one of the most legendary patches of all time, and I hope it is a sign of what to come. You see, when the patch drops, you'll be able to choose how you sheathe your weapons. Yeah,
Ooh.
Biggest patch of all time. You can put them on your hip, on your back. You can
we
even
saw this.
hide them, and dual wielders can even choose them independently. So it actually looks like the new transmog system has more going on than we first thought. Now, we already knew from an interview months ago that Blizzard are working on personalization and customization as one of their next big things. But it's a huge project with loads of technical stuff behind it. Now, obviously, given the technical impossibility of blue tattoos, something might be up, and we've still had to wait a whole patch to get blue eyes. But there's a parallel here with transmog. They rebuilt that system, and suddenly, we've got loads of sheathing options. So they can do these things, but only when they take their time. And it's with that context that we now go to Holly's...
I saw when I was talking about the new sheathing options, which are pretty cool. You can even make it so there's no weapon showing whatsoever. But someone was like, what about the clipping? And I laughed. What do you mean, what about the clip? Since when has Blizzard ever cared about clipping? There's literal weapons in this game that clip through the entirety of your player model. Like, there's no way Blizzard didn't know that was going to happen, and they clearly don't give a shit. So, yeah, I don't think they care at all about clipping.
Recent interview.
Because
if you're one of the people who has thought, look at all that shit the Iron Ear get. Why is my human sitting here with no customizations? Well, it seems Blizzard are actually committing to something here. Okay, I'll cut to the chase with this one. Holly had an interview with the official WoW community Discord, and we got some real...
Armor dies when? I don't think armor dies are ever going to happen. I say the way World of Warcraft works is color is directly correlated with where you got the armor from. So if you allow for armor dies, then you're essentially taking that visual cue away from the game. Now, I mean, does it matter with transmog? I don't know, because nobody's really wearing the armor they currently have. But still, if you want certain colors of certain things, right now the way WoW works is if you like that heroic colorway, you got to go do heroic. That's the only way to get it. So I don't see dies ever happening.
Good stuff out of it. When she was asked about what she'd do if she could wave a magic wand and just have it all done, her answer was actually more customization. That shows where her priorities are, but also where she's probably the most frustrated with limitations. And she gave a few examples that I think betray that further. High five emotes. High five emotes made to match player heights, as in the heights of your different characters.
What?
How do you high-five another character
Does a
when that
gnome high-five
character
a Tauren?
could be a gnome and you could be a Tauren?
Yeah.
And then there's one of the toughest things, hair
Not
and
pre-watched, but an obvious one. I mean, you're calling out the shortest character and the tallest characters in the game, okay? Calm down. I already know this is coming.
beard, which naturally led to one of WoW's biggest issues, hair under hats. Obviously, she didn't make specific time-bound promises, but she made it clear that it's something the team wants to solve. So if they're working on a long-term customization revamp, that is almost guaranteed to be part of it, just like how this transmog revamp has finally let us sheath how we want. Sounds like a euphemism, so let's move swiftly on to the next thing. Customization wasn't everything. She talked about a housing roadmap being in the works, she reiterated that social system changes are coming to the game, and that she thinks of World of Warcraft as a, quote, third place. Honestly, I think that is one of the things our societies tend to be the most lacking in big developed countries, and I think that is a brilliant thing for World of Warcraft to focus on. So thumbs up to that one. And by that, she means a place or a people to truly build community and hang out. That's fantastic. Sure. She talked about two other major things as well: class identity and WoW's future world. No promises, of course, but she made clear where they're heading. They're trying to get race and class fantasies to feel important again, though she didn't say how. And on the topic of the world, they are trying to focus...
How do you make race and class fantasies feel important again? I mean, the whole thing about racials is you can't make them too important or too much of a big deal. Because if you do, then the problem is, well, then people are just going to choose the meta race for their class, right? Like if you ever played classic WoW, dwarf priests were a thing. And dwarf priests were a thing because their racial stat bonuses and everything just lined up so well with being a priest. So dwarf priests just did better than everyone else. And when you make the racials that much of a bonus, people stop picking the race they want to play and they just choose the one that makes the most sense. It's kind of like Covenants in Shadowlands. Instead of picking the aesthetic you had to choose the meta for your class. So I don't know how they make it more. They got to put more aesthetical shit in. I think that's what it's got to be. Like the racial armor sets, those were cool. For like the human, we got the orc one. I think they should redo ground mounts too. Like the original ground mounts, I'd like to see new versions of those. Kind of like we got class flying mounts and stuff. I think it would be really cool if we got some racial mounts, new racial mount up-res ones. We recently saw the Gilneas ones. Those were cool. Other than that, I don't know how you get more class fantasy going. I mean, I've said it before. What the hell is that system where you put in something and it changes the way your spell looks? You know what I mean? Like the penguin polymorph spell and shit like that. Glyphs. That's what I'm thinking of. Glyphs. Yeah, I think the glyph system is underutilized. I think if you want more customization in classes, more interesting stuff happening within a class or specific spec fantasy, reiterate on the glyph system. That thing was great. It changed how some of your spells looked, made you able to live out different class fantasies, and it's kind of just sitting on the wayside.
Trying to focus on building it up instead of just expanding it. She didn't say it directly, but I think they're getting tired of slapping new islands onto the map. I think we're getting tired of that too. So overall, it sounds like Holly is happy, broadly, with WoW's current direction of catering to every type of player. But there's perhaps one type of player they should really stop catering to.
Collabs
I'm talking about scalpers. We had a lot of drama with the limited Pringles mount collab.
Oh, yeah.
I can barely believe those are words coming out of my mouth, and this is a part of my job. I'm talking about the Pringler angering people. How ridiculous, how silly, but hey, it's the modern world.
Fago one
and
too,
unfortunately
right?
for you
The
and me,
Fanta.
but
That's right.
fortunately for the scalpers, this kind of thing has happened again. Xbox partnered with Coca-Cola on a range of promotional Fanta cans. And they've made two mistakes. Mistake one was giving Xalatath the red strawberry one instead of the purple grape one.
Yeah, how did they mess
That's
that
not
up?
really relevant here because mistake two was limiting the codes. There are only around 40,000 of each WoW reward, and they're all split up across a 17-week-long promotional period. It's only just started, and the mount is already on eBay for $50.
Jesus.
Now the thing is, we know this mount will come to the trading post later. It's not going to be as crazy as...
This is how you know WoW players are degens. It's not even a cool mount. This isn't even that cool. But because it's rare, people want to freaking go off on this shit. I mean, imagine this was actually a cool-looking mount. Could have gotten more than $50 maybe. But it's ridiculous. Anytime there's a rare random item, people just go nuts over that shit. Its rarity is more important than the actual coolness of it.
The Pringles mount situation, But limiting codes like this is adding frustration to an otherwise
I
fun
didn't get the
collab,
code, no.
and it's quite obviously giving scalpers an opportunity to come in and basically ruin the fun for all of us. That's not the end of the weird collabs, because they've partnered with
This one
Lodge
was cool.
to make a cast iron skillet. So I think we have to accept it.
That's a cool one. By the way, I think that skillet was only like $38 or something, and if you own a cast iron skillet, you know those things last, so that's a pretty good damn price. I want to get that thing.
WoW really is
Don't
a
talk
boomer
shit about
game.
the skillet,
I
Bellular.
don't know about you, but I've hit the age where if I was able to get a World of Warcraft themed Dyson vacuum cleaner, I'd be thrilled. Same goes for the skillet, and that's why they sold it.
Yeah, that's a total missed opportunity. Sweaty Betty says it needs the WoW cookbook. It should have been a package deal. That should have been like get the skillet and the WoW cookbook packaged together. I don't know how they missed out on that opportunity.
Out almost immediately. And interestingly, not just for the collab reward, the skillet does come with a code for the Cinder Kitten, which is a cheap pet that's been in the WoW store for years. Basically, people, me included, just wanted a skillet with the WoW logo on it that looked really cool. I get it, and apparently Lodge is a reliable brand as well. Now, last I checked, they were sold out. So all I can say is...
Hey, pretty good collab
well,
then.
lads, get more iron and get casting, seriously. We need these. I want to buy them, please.
Yeah, so
Well,
he
that
is
said,
it's
I
a
now
good thing.
go to the most reliable part of the Warcraft news, which is how unreliable WoW has been. It's time for Bug Watch.
Oh no.
Let's get the good news out of the way first. At rank 6 of the Delver's Journey, you can buy bonus keys. Now, there's a little quibble, which is that it seems they didn't upgrade it to work with the new key shard system because people were basically just sending their undercoins into the abyss.
Oh
Stated.
no.
Now, it didn't take long to fix, but people are reporting that they still have not got their lost keys back, so that's a bit silly. Time walking gear was broken as well, but in a bit of a minor way. While leveling, it was dropping gear higher than you can wear. That's fixed now, thankfully. But going to max level, last week's Mythic Plus wasn't really working for a while, as it turned out. That's because the Void Emissary summon from the Xalatath affix was despawning, leaving people very confused. Now, thankfully, that is also fixed. But players have noticed a whole lot more.
I didn't
Some
run
of
into these
these will
issues.
certainly be lower priority for Blizzard. As an example, the War Within is a little bit broken. Delves don't reliably drop Radiant Echo, so if you fancied going to do that achievement hunt, maybe hold off on that.
It's interesting because this is the first time that Blizzard has delves from a previous expansion to deal with, right? Like, delves came out in the War Within, so this is the first time that we've moved on to a new expansion, and you have old delve content sitting in the game that's kind of irrelevant right now. So it makes sense. Yeah, there's some bugs.
And the same goes for crafting. You
Brand's
still
broken.
need Valor Stones to craft some things, but there's no way of getting Valor Stones.
Nice.
Because they've been deleted from the game.
Nice.
Not ideal, but compared to our last bug, it's a minor issue. And that last bug is the loot bug. Yes, the loot bug. You see, after an apparent fix 2 weeks ago, the forums are still full of people complaining that they are locked to specific loot slots. And they just keep on doing delves.
God.
They keep on getting shoulders. Shoulders for days. A bag full of shoulders. And they keep on playing. And basically, if this has
Sad, man.
impacted you,
That sucks.
your character's almost a bit bricked. And that does mean that, like, your progress in the end game of World of Warcraft
Guy's got myth track shoulders and veteran gear everywhere else. Doesn't know what to do. Man, that sucks.
is kind of broken, which does seem like a problem to me. Hopefully Blizzard takes that seriously, and maybe gives delves better loot tables in the future. But that's the current WoW news. Where we're looking into the future, though, is, well, quite simply, now that Midnight's fully released, it's basically time to settle into the groove of playing the game while we wait for the announcements. And on that
Yes.
front, I am expecting news very soon indeed, so keep an eye out. And in the meantime, you maybe will want to get an alt leveled. And if you do want that, we have a guide to do it in anywhere from 2 to 5 hours, and my own method, which is not between 2 and 5 hours, but does get you a bunch more account progress and progress on your alt. So check it out here.
Nice video overall. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Bellular said. I think he was a bit dramatic with the call out that they're losing the war on add-ons. I don't think, just because there's like a very tiny piece of the player base that's downloaded some really crazy ass add-ons. And even those add-ons aren't to the level of what we used to see from weak auras and everything else. So I think overall, While not perfect, I don't think Blizzard ever expected to be perfect, the war on add-ons has gone pretty well. I think a lot of people are playing the game with less add-ons or no add-ons at all, like myself. And I've been enjoying the game much more. I think it's much, much better, in a much better place, and the season's much easier, the content's much better, the boss fights are funner. I just think it's been a positive overall. Nice video from Valular, though.